Make sure this is all working. Yo, yo, yo. What's going on, Fantasy Blitz? This is Eli. It's week 18, so most of y'all's playoffs are over, but there are some ESPN leagues. I talked to Angelo, I don't know the full username, earlier this week. They still have a championship to play, so we still got things to do, So let's get right into it. Well, first off, I want to say congratulations to all of you. If you're playing fantasy, we made it through. Hopefully you're not in last place. Let me know if you did unfortunately make it to last place. That means you're just going to have to watch more and more and more. And if you watch more and more and more, you're eventually going to win. It's like gambling. The more you bet, I'm not going to continue that. Whatever. Corn operator. Well, first off, Hayden Hammond said deep dab. Deep dab. Corn operator. Hey, guys. Fun season. Feel pretty good about third place. You should. I got third place in my house league, and I feel great about it. Obviously, you want to win. You want to get first. You want to get that trophy right here. But, yeah, third place is not that bad, especially however many people are in the league. Coin operator, is this in the Fantasy Blitz League? Because I'm not in that one. So you got to let me know. I'm coming for one of y'all's spots, though. I got to be in the league. Look at me right now. I'm the only guy here. It is what it is. Let's get into it, though. Just going to switch on over to Week 18. But first, the winner of the league is Chili Rainbow. Congrats to Chili Rainbow. I'm not sure if you're in the stream right now, but congratulations to you. You have been... honestly, probably our best fan, or one of our biggest fans, and we love you, man. So happy to see you win it. Sorry, Adam, that you didn't get first, or that you didn't get the championship. We miss you over here, so, best of luck for next year. We'll see how it goes. But, yes, before we start, I do want to say this next slide is just for some players that are out, that have been ruled out for Week 18 because their team has already clinched the playoff spot. So let's get into that one. We have Christian McCaffrey, Kyron Williams, and Cooper Kupp, as well as Patrick Mahomes, Joe Flacco, Lamar Jackson, and Matthew Stafford. These guys are all, the quarterbacks obviously will have replacements, but for Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell, I don't know if I'm feeling him entirely. He feels like a touchdown vulture more so than an actual productive running back. No diss to him, but I don't know. Like Kyron Williams, I don't even know who they would use for the backup for the Rams. And then Cooper Kupp, there's Puka Nacua. So some of these guys, big misses, but then some guys you could probably pick off the waiver and either avoid last place or win your championship. So without further ado, let's move on. Let's see, Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I think this is the third straight week with a Saturday game. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Why is that? Why are they doing that? Anyways, Pittsburgh minus 4-point favorites against the Baltimore Ravens. Now, if this was in the regular season, early on in the regular season, Baltimore would definitely be the favorite. However, Lamar Jackson's probably not going to play. Odell literally just said a minute ago, don't bet on his player props, meaning he's probably not going to play. But there are some players out there that have incentives on their contract. I think Travis Kelce has an 1,000-yard one, and he's maybe 13 yards away or 20 yards away. I'm pretty sure it's a low stat. Maybe one of y'all can help me out. But yeah, so just you got to be careful about these guys. This is a weird week, all right? This is a really weird week because a lot of these teams that are favored to win aren't the better team. It's just that the other team has their players out. And then you got the teams that are in must-win situations. You're going to be hearing me say that a lot tonight. Must win for a lot of teams. I even got playoff scenarios right here for y'all just to get it through. Like, for example, for Pittsburgh, if they want to get in, they have to win, plus they either need a Buffalo loss or a Jacksonville loss or a tie from Jacksonville. Or if they don't win, they need a Jacksonville loss, a Denver win, and then a Houston and Indianapolis game to not end in a tie. That never really happens. And also, most teams have 2 to 3 scenarios where they can get in the playoffs, but I just wrote in the most realistic ones because there were several of them that were they can't tie. So, that never happens in the NFL. I think it was 2 years ago, the Chargers and Raiders, and then Brandon Staley ruined it because then both teams would have gone through. He called a timeout. And then if you don't know, look it up. If you know, you know. Anyways, let's get back in the game. I'm yabbering on too much. For Pittsburgh, Magic 8-Ball, I still don't know. I like Najee Harris, but I'm not too confident in him just because that Ravens team is still intense. And this is a rivalry game. This is a big game for them just for bragging rights. Pittsburgh needs to win, so I'm sure they're going to be a huge offensive mindset team just to score points because, got to score to win. But on the Baltimore side, I put Gus Edwards in there. I still don't know if he is a reliable option for this. But, I would just be cautious. This week, guys, you really have to be on your phone and checking injury reports and who's playing and who's not on Sunday, and especially Saturday because there's 2 games. But on Sunday, just to see who is going to play and who's not. Like Jamar Chase, the Bengals, they're already eliminated. Is he going to play? Probably not, because it's Jamar Chase. He doesn't need to, put his body through all that just for no reason. But then again, he may have some contract incentives and that I don't know about. So we'll just have to see how that goes. But I like Isaiah Likely. You got to sit Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, just because you just never know. I think, was it 2 or last year or 2 years ago, the Bucs had already clinched the division. They already had a playoff spot. But they started Brady, Fournette, Gronk, a bunch of other guys, and then they benched them like a drive later, just because they had some incentives and they needed to get some money. The NFL players need some money. Isn't that weird? But let's move on. Next game, getting tired of this one. That's the phrase. Saturday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time, we have Houston versus the Indianapolis Colts. Houston's a 1-point favorite, so we'll start with the favors. C.J. Stroud, Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz, and Devin Singletary. I like Singletary a bunch out of this group just because he is a productive guy. He's been looking great the past few games. And C.J. Stroud plays really well at home, but not the greatest at away games. However, he should be fine. He's clutch. This is a must-win game for them as well, and as well as for the Colts. So for a Houston situation, they would have to have a win plus a Jacksonville loss or a tie for the AFC South. And then for a playoff spot, they need to win, have Jacksonville lose, and Pittsburgh lose. And then for the Indianapolis side, if they want to win the division, the AFC South is looking hot. All right, there's 3 teams that can win. I'm personally going to go with the Jags just because they have the easier route. But the Colts side, if they want to win the South, they need to win, Jacksonville loss, or tie. And then if they want to get the playoffs, they just need to win simply. A lot of teams are in that situation where they need help from other teams. That's never an ideal situation if you're a fan of one of those teams. But if you're like Jacksonville, you just need to win to get in. That's the simplest route, right? So then we move on to the Colts side. We got Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman Jr. I heard a stat today. Jonathan Taylor is 5-0 against the Houston Texans. However, this is a different Texans team. This is not the 2 years ago Texans. Even last year where it's like, we got the Texans at bully ball, like easy money. But I really like Jonathan Taylor just because he can score. They can get the ball down all the way through. They may not be able to put up like 24 points or so, but if they score 2 touchdowns, I bet one of them comes from him. Michael Pittman Jr., probably most consistent wide receiver all year, I would have to say. But I have to say this. I have to ask. Let me know in the chat if y'all want award show, because that's what I was thinking about doing next week. Because, regular season's coming to an end. Then we'll have the playoffs. There's no fantasy in playoffs. Unless you're in one of those, like, really weird leagues in, like, NFL.com. I don't know. Those ones are weird. But let me know if you want an award show or something. Just any ideas that y'all want to hear or see. So just let me know. Let's move on to the next game, because that one's at Saturday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Enjoy a little Saturday night football because there's no college around. So let's move on to the Sunday games. All right, we got Minnesota versus Detroit. Not too bad of a game. They played about 2 weeks ago. It was actually a thriller game. Detroit won the NFC North against the Vikings. But Detroit's a 3.5-point favorite, so we'll start with them. You're going to want to start Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Sam Laporta. Laporta had a crap game against Minnesota the first time they played. But that was an away game. Laporta kind of struggles away games, but at home plays just fine. And also, they don't really need to win the game. So I'm really expecting Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery to get a lot of touches. I don't know who their RB3 is, but I expect them just to get some touches, maybe to get them a touchdown or 2 each, and then just move on. On the Minnesota side, they have a playoff scenario. They need to win, Green Bay loss, Seattle loss, Tampa Bay loss, or New Orleans loss, either Tampa Bay or New Orleans. But they do need Green Bay to lose, and they need Seattle to lose. This is what I'm talking about if you're Seattle. Or not Seattle, if you're Minnesota. These are the struggles that you have if you just need to win. Not only do you need to win, but you also need to have other teams lose, especially when it's like 2 to 3 teams. That's never fun. And I think that also can kind of mess with the team's like psyche in a way, just because they realize that they have other things to rely on instead of just like putting all your focus in on just winning the game. However, I'm not a professional athlete. I don't know what goes on throughout their minds. It is what it is. Let's move on to the next game. We have, I didn't even go through the Minnesota. My bad. We have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. Those are just your studs. I don't like the running backs in this scenario. Let me put that on. The running back split is scary, exclamation point, for sure. Just because Ty Chandler and Alexander Madison just they seem to take each other away or take their value away from each other, which is, I mean, I don't really understand why or how they do that, but by all means, just to help them win the game. But I would take Detroit in this game just because 3.5 points. I mean, that's butter. I think they'll win by a touchdown or two. Let's move on. Atlanta, New Orleans. Dadgummit, this game is going to be tough. And as a Falcons fan, I'm not looking forward to it just because I hate playing in New Orleans. And I don't like them at all. But they're the favorites by 3 points, and this one's at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So we'll start with New Orleans. We have Alvin Kamara, who is banged up, and he did not practice today, so I don't think he's going to play. However, I have Jamal Williams on there, who had, I think, 19 touches last week. And he can definitely get some touches against the Falcons, just because they're going to be all over Derek Carr, and that's why you want to sit him. But Chris Olave, I don't care who his quarterback is. He will do well. I know he will do well just because he's Chris Olave, and he's playing my favorite team, and it just seems that whenever people play my favorite team, their best player always pops off. It is what it is. But for New Orleans, they need to, if they want to make the playoffs, they need to win, have Seattle lose, and Green Bay lose. If they want to win the South, just like the Falcons, they need to win and have Tampa Bay lose, and Tampa Bay is playing Carolina. You know, unless you're named the Falcons or the Texans, you don't know what that feeling is like. Or you do know what that feeling is like to lose. But on the Atlanta side, we have Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, and the defense. The defense for the Falcons did great last time they played the Saints. They had a pick six of like a good amount of sacks and a couple turnovers. I just think they have Derek Carr's number. If he's healthy, I believe he is healthy. They're going to go all over him. They're going to be all over him. I expect a couple turnovers. I don't know if, never can turnovers are random. I have to say, turnovers are completely random. So you never know what's going to happen. But with this defense that attacks Derek Carr, there should be a turnover there, here, there, or so. Bijan Robinson, I expect him also to do a little bit better after an game last week. But, we'll see how that one goes. Must-win game for Atlanta if they even want to sniff the playoffs, because their only shot is winning the South. It's a pretty big go big or go home type deal. You either win the South or you go home empty-handed, and then you start looking at mock drafts like me. So we'll move on from this game. Next game, we have Cleveland versus Cincinnati. These are one of the games that I am, it's just confusing when you're making this list because Cleveland's already clinched, right? And then Cincinnati's eliminated. So, who would want to play their players, Cleveland's already said we're going to sit Flacco. Amari Cooper's limited. I doubt he plays. He might get a couple snaps in just to not get any ring rust. David Njoku, same with him. One of their bigger weapons. Why would you want to play them all the way out through the game? But ESPN, Yahoo, Sleeper, whatever, hat you play with. Excuse me, I can't even speak. They're going to tell you they're healthy. That does not mean they're going to play. So you have got to be careful. I'm telling you, Sunday morning, you need to be checking your lineups, checking reports. Any of your studs on your roster, you got to see if they're playing or not. And if they're on a snap count or if they're limited, whatever, you know the deal. But I would say just Jerome Ford for Cleveland or Kareem Hunt. I think Kareem Hunt's a little banged up, so got to be careful about him. But just, again, I don't know. I don't even know if – this is just so weird. I'm sitting T. Higgins only because he's hurt. I put a bunch of asterisks next to Jamar Chase just because, why would Jamar Chase play in this game? He has nothing to win or, play for. So I have Joe Mixon. He's just the running back. He's the workload guy on that team. I just don't know how it would go for this game. This one's weird. I don't like it. I want to move on. Let's get out of here. All right, so Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time as well. Jacksonville versus Tennessee. Jacksonville I can't speak, man, are 5.5-point favorites. Trevor Lawrence is banged up. However, last week he missed his first game, I think, ever in his football career, and he's banged up, and there's circulation saying he might not play. He has to play. If he doesn't play, I will be shocked. I will be straight up shocked because this is a must-win game for Jacksonville. He's coming off a week of being healthy. Actually, 2 weeks, if you really want to be technical. And they need to win this game. Trevor Lawrence is a competitor. He's going to want to have to play this game, and he's going to have to play this game just because if Jacksonville wants to keep their franchise or their fans from being upset, they're going to have to win this game because you got a lot of weapons, man. You got Lawrence, Etienne, Ingram, and Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk, if he's healthy, I'm a little nervous about Evan Ingram just because that takes away another target or adds another target for Trevor Lawrence. However, I believe Tennessee's only allowed 2 touchdowns to tight ends all year, so you're not really looking for Evan Ingram as a touchdown. Watch him score a touchdown now. But more so just a catches and yards type play. Christian Kirk, if he is healthy, be careful on how healthy he is. Like I said earlier, if they say they're healthy, read into why are they ruled healthy or how healthy are they? Because they will tell you, the reports will. On the Tennessee side, they're already eliminated. It doesn't matter. Derrick Henry's the only guy that I feel confident in. DeAndre Hopkins, he's got a lot of incentives. I can't even remember how many it is. It's like catches and yards and maybe a touchdown. I doubt the touchdowns in there. But I do know that he needs some yards, I believe. So I would, if you need to start him in your flex, go ahead and throw him in there. Like I said, a lot of these guys are just not playing or just not even going to worry about it because they're millionaires, they're professional athletes. They got more stuff to worry about than your fantasy football league. However, I care about fantasy football, so that's why I'm doing this, But for Jacksonville, their scenario, if they want to win the South, they need to win or have or a tie plus Houston ties. So really just a win and you're in type deal. Real simple for the Jaguars. Let's move on. Next game. Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, Tampa Bay versus Carolina. Tampa Bay are minus 4.5-point favorites. You want to start Baker. He's banged up, but I believe he's good to go. It's no problem. Oh, let's see what the chat says. We got Hayden Hammond. Ravens signed Dalvin Cook. Get this man a ring. Hey, I did not. What? No way. I did not. Whoa. Breaking news. Thank you, Mr. Hammond. Dalvin Cook signs with the Ravens. I like that just because it's depth, experienced running back. He may just be in there to either get a ring, like you said, or he's just there to help out the locker room. But realistically, it's probably for the ring because Ravens are looking good. I have to admit, and I'm glad to admit that. I know I'd say I'd start with the favorites, but Carolina's got no one. Don't even worry about them. Really hoping they win so my birds can get in. And if they don't, then I will be looking at mock drafts extremely early. But Baker, he's a little banged up. But this is like Trevor's situation, a must-win game. They're going to want to play him. He's going to want to play. So you got Rashad White, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Mike Evans has been a beast all year. I expect him to feast. And Rashad White, I don't like the Bucs, right? But I do like Rashad White. He's just like a tool, man. Like he can just catch, run, all that. I love it all. I do expect Tampa Bay to win this game. I don't want them to win. Their situation, NFC South. Can't really see it on my notes. Win and you're in. They have the most simple scenario out of all teams to get in the playoffs. It's just win. And they're playing the worst team in the league. They better win because if they don't, I'm giving them banter next week. I have to, but they probably won't lose. It is what it is. Let's move on. Next game, the Jets versus the Patriots. Another game where both teams are eliminated or there's an eliminated team in the game. But this is another divisional rival matchup. New England is a minus 1.5-point favorite. This game is at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday. I like Hunter Henry. I put a star next to his name just because if you have a Travis Kelce or if you have, I'm trying to think of other tight ends that may not play. Oh, man, I don't even know. Like, I don't know, Travis Kelce, I don't expect him to play. Maybe like Isaiah Likely if you don't feel too confident. Maybe try to get Hunter Henry, but there are also other waiver wire targets. I didn't put him on the Jets side because he's not for sure starter. But like Tyler Conklin, he's been one of the lower consistent tight ends in the league, but he's still there. Like I think last week he put up maybe 9, and then the week before they put up 5. Not great numbers, but if you're getting a guaranteed 0 from a guy, might as well get you like 3 or 4 points just to help yourself out. But I like Zeke in this scenario just because Ramondre's on IR. Oh my gosh, on IR. He's on IR, and Zeke's just a workhorse. I like it a lot. Jets side, Breece Hall, 2024. Breece Hall will be a top 3 running back. I don't know how to clip things on YouTube, but I'm going to try to clip that because I really do think he's going to be so good next year, especially if Rodgers is undergun. They're going to use Breece Hall because they don't want to hurt old man Rodgers a lot. So I like Breece Hall. I like the defense in this situation because they're starting Trevor Siemian. That guy stinks. He's really bad. All right, and then I have Garrett Wilson, not Zach Wilson. I forgot to put the G on there. We'll never condone Zach Wilson to be a starter in fantasy. Ever, ever, ever. Even if you're in the 32-man league. No. Zach Wilson, no, no, no. But other than that, just a boring divisional rival game. But I will be looking at it just because it's football. I like football. Let's move on. Oh, wait. Whoa. You got to like and subscribe. Pay the fee. It's free. It helps us out a lot. We're pretty close to 500 subs. Compared to the other fantasy channels out there, not amazing, but you got to start somewhere. And I do appreciate all of you guys for viewing in, checking in, even commenting, liking. But most importantly, I would like for y'all to subscribe. Again, I want to shout out Nick and Adam and Hudson for even giving me this opportunity. And also shout out to Hit Network for letting me do this because, I don't have to do this, or they don't have to let me do this, but they do. And I really do appreciate them. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Really do appreciate it, guys. Let's move on. Next game, the 4 o'clock game, Sunday at 4:25 p.m. Eastern Time. Another divisional rival game. We have the Rams versus the 49ers. 49ers are 4-point favorites, so we'll start with I don't know if y'all saw the 49ers signed Just kidding. It's, I don't know. I have no idea. Christian McCaffrey's not playing. Maybe you want to start Elijah Mitchell, but I doubt they want to put their RB2 in risk. So I have no idea. They're not going to start Brock Purdy. And if he does play, oh, no, he's not playing at all. It's going to be Sam Darnold. They already announced that. I should have put that on the slides earlier. But are they really going to start Brandon Ayuk? Are they really going to start Deebo Samuel, George Kittle? If they do, if the answer is yes, they're not going to play for long. I know they're not because they're the number 1 seed. They're locked that up. They're looking at 3 games away from winning a Super Bowl, or other than this week. But in the playoffs, they're 3 games away from winning. I have no idea. That's why you guys got to pay attention. I'm not saying, do your own research, but truly, today's Thursday. Games don't start until Saturday, and most of the games don't start until Sunday. So you really got to be on the lookout. On the Rams side, we'll start with the sits just because there's more sits than starts. Kyron Williams, Cooper Kupp, Matt Stafford, mentioned them earlier. However, I like Puka Nacua. He's like 3 catches and 40-ish yards away from breaking the rookie records, or some rookie records. So I'm sure they're going to, they know that, and they're going to want to have that happen to him. Oh, excuse me. I like Tyler Higbee. He's been pretty consistent recently. He's another one of those guys, if you have Kelsey, that you need a tight end to pick up just to give some productivity. Oh, excuse me. I like Tyler Higbee a lot, just because there's another weapon, especially if Cooper Kupp and Kyron Williams are gone. But other than that, there's not many, guys you want to start during this game. It may be a good game just as a football game, like a little kickback and relax, but not a lot of stakes. Rams have already clinched. 49ers are already the number 1 seed. I'm done with this game. Let's move on. All right, we got Seattle versus Arizona, 4:25 p.m. Eastern Time. Seattle are minus 3-point favorites, but Arizona, another divisional rival game, are looking to play spoiler because Arizona's eliminated. However, Seattle is not. And let me read off the Seattle situations. They need to win and have Green Bay lose or tie. That one's a pretty simple route. That's the standard one. Just win and have another team lose. The Packers are playing the Bears. Aaron Rodgers said, I own you. It's not just him. It's Green Bay that owns Chicago. But we're not talking about them. Seattle. Geno, Kenneth Walker. I like calling him K9 because he's a dog. And then DK Metcalf. Oh, I did not mean to have Chuba Hubbard up there. Oh, God, y'all can't even see that. Arizona, Kyler Murray. I like Kyler Murray a lot. I like him a lot. So I think he still might be on some waivers, especially towards the end of the season. So if you can get him, I'd say start him. I have Tua starting against the Bills, but I don't think he's a good start. I just feel like you have to start him if you have Tua. But if you can somehow get Kyler Murray, start him over Tua just because he may be the more consistent play and he's not facing as tough as a team as the Bills are. But I like Trey McBride. I think he's going to be great next year. His ADP is going to rise just because of what he's been doing recently. I like Seattle in this game a lot. I really do think that they can win. They just really need some help from Chicago. Don't know if they'll get that help. Let's move on. Next game. All right, Kansas City and the Chargers. See, this is why, let me get full cam. This is why Week 18 is so weird, because the Chargers are 3.5-point favorites. The Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen-less Chargers are 3.5-point favorites against the Mahomes, Kelsey-less Chiefs. And Rashee Rice is not going to play either. So for the Kansas City side, or the Chargers side, I got Eckler and Everett. Eckler's got to redeem himself for this year. He had a stinker last week. My gosh, it was so bad. I think it was like 4 points or something crazy in the fantasy championship. If you had him, you probably weren't in the championship. It is what it is. I like Gerald Everett. His ADP is going to shoot up next year. It's because quarterbacks seem to like him, especially Justin Herbert. However, he's not here anymore. And then on the Kansas City side, Week 18, crazy. Like Isaiah Pacheco, he probably won't play. So then I have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But if he doesn't play, then maybe Jerick McKinnon. I don't know, but they all use them in the backfield. So I'm very curious to see what Andy Reid does as far as like starting and sitting. This game stinks though, just because Kansas City already clinched their division. I think it's like 8 straight years or something. So I applaud the Chiefs. Way to go, guys. We're moving on. Next game. Denver versus the Raiders, Sunday at 4:25 p.m. Eastern Time. Vegas are 2.5-point favorites. Josh Jacobs said he wants to play and he's going to play. I think that's what he said. I heard he wants to play, but I don't see him not wanting to play just because I think he loves football, man. Some of these guys don't care about football, or they love football and they don't even care about the money. But you want to start Devontae Adams. He's not my favorite play. He's probably one of the wide receiver 15, 16 plays or so. But he may be a little bit higher just because it's Devontae Adams, and I say it every week. He's one of the best receivers in the league. I feel wrong benching him every time, so just don't do that. Denver side, they're already eliminated. It's like both teams are already eliminated, so you don't even want to pay attention to this game overall. But Javonte Williams, only real strong start for this team. Other than that, everyone's banged up. Cortland Sutton's banged up. They're not starting Russell Wilson. Jeremy McLaughlin, I think that's how you say his name. I have no idea. You wouldn't want to start him, though, just because it's Javonte Williams' show, and it's not even a fun show to watch with him. Let's move on from this game. Next game, Philadelphia versus the Giants. Philly is a 5-point favorite. Last week, they were 10.5-point favorites, and they lost. And I even said that was a good line at 10.5, and then they lose by 4, I believe, or 3 or 4. So that's a stinker. But I like this line right here. So we'll start with the favorites. Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith. He's banged up, so you got to look out. A.J. Brown and DeAndre Swift. I still don't like the Swift start. I just have him on there because he's the starting running back. But, if you have some other options, you could throw the other options in front of him. But if you don't, throw him in your flex. And if you need to start him in your running backs, you know the deal. Giants side, Saquon Barkley, my hot take, that this will be his last game as a Giant. He will be moving on. I don't know where. That kind of stuff. Free agency predictions are always random. Tyrod Taylor, again, I would start him over Tua. Just because the matchup is there. Philly secondary, terrible. The Bills, however, will eat Tua alive. His record against the Bills is just terrible because they just dominate him every time. Even though this game is in Miami, I don't want to start him. That's why I would start Tyrod Taylor, though. Home field advantage, playing one of the worst secondaries in the league. I would move on with them. Let's move on. Let's get out of here. Sunday again, 4:25 p.m. Eastern Time. Oh, wait, I got to go back. Hold on. For Philly, they have to win and have a Dallas loss if they want to win the North. No, the East. I'm sorry. They win the East. Lions win the North. I'm all over today. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. This is rough. We had some technical difficulties, so we didn't even start on time, and I'm just out of here, and then I just got thrown in. So I appreciate y'all joining in anyways and just watching. But, yeah, Philly's got to win, have a Dallas loss if they want to win the East. So let's move on from that one. Speaking of the East, we have Dallas as 13-point favorites against Washington. Man, what happened? Washington was solid in the beginning of the year, and then they just fell off completely. But Dallas side, you want to start Dak. You want to start Pollard, Lamb, Ferguson, and their defense. I love their defense. Chances are the defense is already on a roster. But if you can somehow get them, start them. They need to just not lose, I believe. Oh, no, they need a Philly loss. Either a win or a Philly loss. Not win and a Philly loss. They need a win to clinch the division, and they just need a loss from Philly, which can happen. I'm not saying it will happen. It could happen. Either it won't or it will. That's just how it is. On the Washington side, Terry McLaurin's the only guy. That's been consistent for them all year. Brian Robinson had a great start in the beginning, and then just nothing. Nothing happened. So Terry McLaurin's been the most consistent player for that team. He gets the MCP award, most consistent player for Washington, which is not the best award that you want to win, and also the MVP. It was Sam Howell, but then decline. Moving on, next game, Sunday, 4:25 p.m. Eastern Time again. Chicago versus Green Bay. Green Bay are minus 3-point favorites. Chicago's already eliminated. For Green Bay, they just need to win, and they're in. That's it. I don't know. They have a lot of I read it earlier. They had 3 situations that they needed 2 teams to tie, and another team to lose, and another team to lose, or tie, loss, this team tie. Crazy stuff. So I'm just going with the easiest route for them, and that would be to win. And they're 3-point favorites, and they're playing at home. You get the big picture. So we'll start with Green Bay. I like Jordan Love. I love Aaron Jones. I heard a debate earlier. I was watching this other fantasy channel. They said, would you rather have Jordan Love or Trevor Lawrence in a Dynasty league? I don't know if any of you guys play Dynasty, but I would take Jordan Love all day. Even though he's a year older than Trevor Lawrence, he's having a better season than Trevor Lawrence has had at all or ever in the NFL. So I'm going with Jordan Love. I really think Green Bay is a quarterback factory. I'm loving it, man. I'm not, no pun intended, but I'm loving it. I love Jordan Love. I think he's a great quarterback. He kind of reminds me of Rodgers, not just because of the of the Green Bay uniform, but he knows when to run. He's not like the huge mobile quarterback like Lamar or Josh Allen, but he knows when to take off. And that's what made Rodgers so effective was he knew when to take off or knows when to take off. Rest in peace, by the way. Take off. I don't know if y'all caught that. On the Chicago side, Justin Fields, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet. They're just playing for pride. They really want to beat Green Bay. Crazy stat that Jordan Love, or there has always been, I believe, a Green Bay quarterback that has had a better season than Chicago's best quarterback season. So that's kind of nuts. I mean, it's like Jordan Love's first year starting, and he's already had that accomplishment. So congrats to him. I like DJ Moore. I like Cole Kmet. Another one of the calls that we had here at Fantasy Blitz was Cole Kmet being an absolute stud muffin, and he is a stud muffin. So shout out to Cole Kmet, and shout out to Fantasy Blitz. I know I just shouted us out on our own show, but gotta put out the work. This game is more so just to watch Green Bay if they either get in or not. But if you don't really care about that kind of stuff and your team's either eliminated or your team is fighting for a playoff and this game doesn't even matter, this is just like old classic Chicago Green Bay. Seeing those two logos next to each other, easy shmoney. Moving on, I think this is the last game. Yes, Sunday Night Football, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. This is the big one. I'm so glad the NFL got this one right to make this the primetime game because it's so funny. Buffalo can either be like the 5th or 6th seed, or they can be the 2nd seed depending on this game. They're 3-point favorites, so we'll start with them. Josh Allen, James Cook, Stephon Diggs. And yes, if you've been watching the show, then you know how we feel about Gabe Davis. But this is a big game. They call him Big Game Gabe Davis. And I feel like I have to start him. Just because the secondary for Miami will definitely be focusing on Stephon Diggs, even though he's been on the decline as of recent. But Gabe Davis should definitely step up. Miami. Tua's on the top of the list because I was just going through, but I don't necessarily feel confident in starting him against Buffalo. Like I said earlier, his record against Buffalo is not the greatest. It's actually kind of a struggle. But this is a must-win game for them if they want to win the division. They've already clinched a playoff spot. But if they want to win the division, they're going to have to ball out and they're going to have to show up. They just took an absolute whooping from Baltimore. And the really cool Hard Knocks clip from Mike McDaniels, he was saying that they can just take this whooping and use it, That's why I love him as a coach. He's really player-oriented and really speaks to his players. So maybe we'll see what happens. Buffalo's only 3-point favorites. If they were playing at home, then definitely the line would be higher. But I think Josh Allen, against Miami, he's going to kill him. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert. Waddle and Mostert are banged up, so if Mostert's hurt, you want to start Achane. Jalen Waddle, I don't know if they're going to play him. I feel like they should play him just because it's a must-win game, like I said. But if he's hurt and you're already in the playoffs, I wouldn't play him just because you don't want to hurt your second-best wide receiver on the team and, lose that tool. But yeah, moving on to things to know. We have Buffalo versus Miami as the highest point total at 49.5 points. And then we have the Jets versus the Patriots at 30.5. That's the lowest I think I've seen all year. I wouldn't expect anything else for Week 18. That's just really bad. I would take the over on Buffalo and Miami just because I feel like both of these teams are like shootout potential. So I'd take the over, and then the Jets and the Patriots, dude, flip a coin. I have no idea. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's Week 18. This is me, Eli, host of Fantasy Blitz, or co-host, depending on Nick and Adam. Miss them both. But yeah, appreciate you guys. We're wrapping up the regular season. Y'all got to let me know in our comments how you did and what you're looking forward to in 2024. It's never too early to look forward to next year, especially if you didn't lose the championship. But if you won the championship, enjoy this time. This is your time to brag just a little bit. Don't brag too much. But just brag to your friends how you are the champ. In the league, to show the league. They say fantasy football is all about proving to your friends that you're better than them. And I agree to that. But, and if you lose, like I always say, it's not your fault. So don't worry about it. Also, let me know in the comments what you guys want to do. This show does not plan on stopping at all. I plan on doing an award show next week or something like that. Don't know if we'll do weekly episodes, but I kind of want to just because I got a lot of free time, and I love talking fantasy football. No such thing as the off-season because we can do mock drafts, we can do dynasty startups, all sorts of things. Y'all just got to let me know what you want because I got an idea, but I'm here for the people. I'm here for you guys. But then also, thank you guys. I really do appreciate it. Also want to shout out again, Nick, Adam, Hudson, and Hit Network for even allowing me to do this. Really do appreciate it. Not the final time, but for the regular season, this is Eli Heron signing off for Fantasy Blitz. Peace.